Black Death, a name that conjures images of despair and devastation, was not merely a historical event, but a cataclysm that irrevocably altered the course of European history. Spanning from 1347 to 1351, this plague was more than a pandemic. It was a transformative force that reshaped societies, economies, and cultures across the continent. Its impact resonates even today, as it offers a haunting reminder of the fragility of human life and the profound consequences of disease on civilization. The origins of the Black Death can be traced back to the vast and interconnected world of the 14th century. The disease is believed to have emerged in the Central Asian steppes, where the bacterium Yersinia pestis found its initial hosts in the flea-infested rats that roamed the region. From these distant and relatively isolated beginnings, the plague spread along trade routes that connected Asia to Europe. The Mongol Empire, which had established a network of trade and communication, played a crucial role in the dissemination of the plague. By 1347, the disease had reached the port city of Kaffa in Crimea, a bustling hub of trade and commerce under Genoese control. The plague's arrival in Europe was facilitated by the movement of ships and traders, who unknowingly carried the infected fleas and rats with them. The disease spread rapidly through Mediterranean ports, and soon it began to infiltrate the heart of Europe. By 1348, the Black Death had extended its reach across the continent, ravaging cities and towns with a ferocity that left few untouched. The manifestations of the Black Death were horrifying and immediate. The most common form of the plague, bubonic plague, was marked by the sudden onset of fever, chills, and weakness, accompanied by the appearance of painful, swollen lymph nodes known as buboes. These buboes, typically found in the groin, armpits, or neck, were a grim hallmark of the disease. In many cases, the infection progressed rapidly, leading to septicemic plague, which affected the bloodstream and resulted in shock, organ failure, and death. Pneumonic plague, another form of the disease, attacked the lungs and was highly contagious, spreading through respiratory droplets from the afflicted. The sheer scale of the death toll was staggering. It is estimated that between 25 and 30 million people, or roughly 1/3 of Europe's population, perished during the course of the Black Death. The plague's relentless march across the continent left entire villages and towns deserted, their once bustling streets now silent and empty. The enormity of the death toll had profound implications for European society. The societal impacts of the Black Death were profound and far-reaching. The sudden and massive loss of life led to a severe shortage of labor, disrupting agricultural production and economic activities. This labor shortage resulted in a dramatic rise in wages for workers, as their services became increasingly valuable. The economic upheaval contributed to a redistribution of wealth and power, weakening the traditional feudal structures that had dominated medieval Europe. As a result, a shift towards a more market-oriented economy began to take shape. The social fabric of Europe was deeply affected by the plague. The pervasive presence of death and suffering fostered an environment of fear and superstition. Many people turned to religious explanations for the disaster, viewing it as divine punishment or a sign of the end times. Some communities responded with increased religious fervor, seeking solace in prayer and penance. Others, unfortunately, found scapegoats in minority groups, particularly Jews, who were wrongfully blamed for the spread of the plague. This led to widespread persecution and violence against these communities. Medical knowledge during the Black Death was rudimentary, and physicians had little understanding of disease transmission. The prevailing theories of the time, such as the miasma theory, which posited that the plague was caused by bad air, proved to be ineffective in combating the disease. Medical practitioners relied on a variety of ineffective treatments, including bloodletting and the use of herbal remedies. In response to the crisis, some cities and regions implemented quarantine measures, isolating ships and travelers in an attempt to prevent the further spread of the plague. Although these measures had limited success, they marked the beginning of more systematic approaches to disease control. The Black Death also had a lasting impact on European culture and psychology. The omnipresence of death influenced art and literature, giving rise to themes of mortality and the transient nature of life. This period saw a proliferation of macabre and death-centric imagery, as well as a preoccupation with the afterlife. The plague's effects on European thought and culture were profound, reflecting a deep contemplation of human suffering and the meaning of existence. In the aftermath of the Black Death, Europe experienced a period of significant transformation. The dramatic population decline led to a temporary rise in living standards for those who survived, as the reduced labor supply drove up wages and improved working conditions. The weakening of the feudal system paved the way for the emergence of a more modern economic and social structure, with increased mobility and opportunities for common people. The Black Death's legacy is a stark reminder of the impact that pandemics can have on societies. Its effects were not limited to the immediate crisis, but extended into the long-term changes that shaped the course of European history. The plague's influence on demographic patterns, economic structures, and social attitudes left an indelible mark on the continent, setting the stage for future developments and advancements. In reflection, the story of the Black Death is a powerful testament to the resilience and adaptability of human societies in the face of overwhelming adversity. It underscores the interconnectedness of disease, society, and history, offering valuable lessons for understanding the profound consequences of pandemics. The Black Death remains a significant chapter in the annals of history, a reminder of both the fragility and the enduring spirit of humanity.